Here we go. Oh, it's election time in South Carolina. Welcome, everybody. La, 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 la. I took a back door into this. I just need to make sure that I'm up and running. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we're in. I think we're in. How we doing? What's up? Vinny DiMartini? What's up, Stinky Pot? What's up, Barthley McDowell? What's up, guys? So, tonight is the South Carolina. Polls are closing in a minute, I think. That's right. Polls are closing in a minute. And so I got a variety of stuff up. We're just going to really look for the results tonight. South Carolina is a big deal for the Joe Biden, for Mr. Biden. Let's see what these folks are talking
of people
about.
That spans generations, multiple races. When you look at the voter turnout and who's voting, does this pose a problem?
It's basically all or none for Joe Biden tonight. Joe Biden, in the fake polls say that Joe Biden is way out ahead. We have no results at this point. So again, polls, the latest polls have Joe Biden winning by 9. South Carolina 9, Biden by 21. We'll see. We shall see. Oh, Young Turks are up. Let's see what the Young Turks are.
And look, he had a good strategy. If this is what he wanted, he did set it up to get that. He locked down important endorsements, including just in this past week. He was
we'll look
able
a little bit at the Turks. I got ABC up. I got CBS up.
Other candidates. I mean,
and what else? Got the New York Times. New York Times will probably be starting to
work reporting on his decades
post
during the civil rights movement. But just yesterday, he finally had to directly
look at this. With 0% of the vote, they've already got Joe Biden the winner.
Which is an insane claim to make.
Oh, it's so funny. New York Times has called it for Joe Biden. What a piece of crap. What an asshole.
But I will say that,
look at that, right there. Joe Biden has won the South Carolina primary with no votes in.
Nationally have gone down, and at almost the same rate.
To what degree has he won?
He thinks he can beat Donald Trump has also dropped down, which sort of makes sense.
Breaking news.
If you can't win elections, it's reasonable to think reassure some people that he's not necessarily a
So, breaking news. The New York Times has called the election already for Joe Biden. The thing I want to talk about is this right here. All right, so this is the math. Let's talk about math for a second. We'll go back and look at the reporting of this thing. So far, Iowa, we've gotten with 1%. Iowa's only 1% of what was in store thereafter. And you see, it's 41 delegates, pledged delegates. Right. Cumulative, pledged delegates. Then we went on to New Hampshire, where there was 65. Nevada, there was 101. All right, is this right? Hold on a second. It's 101. Nevada, 36. Cumulative pledged delegates, jurisdiction. Actually, it's not. Iowa's 41. New Hampshire's 24. Nevada's 36 and South Carolina's 54. So, South Carolina is technically bigger than Nevada. And here's where it gets really interesting, right? So on Tuesday, this is what we're looking for, right? Again, Arkansas, California, 415 pledged delegates. Colorado, 67. Maine, 24. Massachusetts, 91. Minnesota, 75. North Carolina, 110. Vermont, 16. Virginia, 99. Texas, 228. So you see, like, by March 3rd, we've got 37% of the vote. Now, the point is, does the 1.4% of South Carolina really, really matter tonight? Well, if you listen to the fake news, they're yakking that it is because it tells us about the black vote, how the blacks across the country are going to vote. And I don't know. It doesn't. I personally don't think it has that much weight, is what I'm trying to say. So here we go. Look at this. Joe Biden is the projected winner. This is Politico. Politico calling it as well. With 238 votes, Joe Biden is the projected winner, 40.3%. Bernie Sanders, 27.7%. Tom Steyer in third. Warren fourth. Buttigieg fifth. So, as of now, Politico is calling it as well. New York Times is calling it with no votes in. Politico. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm just trying to get this. I went in a back door, and it seems like it's a little different. It's a different way of getting in. I don't know. Anyway. But let's see.
In South Carolina. Let's bring in ABC News contributor and former Senator Heidi Heitkamp. I want to look at the spread, the number by which he potentially will win by tonight. Is it enough to give him the bump that he needs going into those Super Tuesday states where he's spent hardly any money at all because he simply didn't have it?
Well, it's certainly better than having a lower number, and I think it's really hard in this cycle, given that we aren't seeing a binary choice to see whether one swinger to one candidate or the other candidate. You could see a five-way race in California as a result of this. Who knows what's going to happen? But I will tell you tonight, the Biden camp is very, very happy because they have cauterized a wound that they couldn't win a primary.
It's all bullshit right now. This is fake news, just spinning it. ABC News is spinning that Biden has saved his campaign. He hasn't saved shit. I mean, it would have been nice, but again, you've got Jim Clyburn. I smell like a rig. I don't know, it just seems rigged down there. I don't know how the hell they pulled it off, but they did pull it off.
Out there, you get energized by it, and I think that energy is going to carry through Tuesday. So this is
I don't think so, miss. I don't think so. I think that Bernie Sanders is so far out ahead. If you look at the polls, bitch.
What do the candidates who don't do well, who don't get one delegate out of
All right, I'm tired of you. Let's listen to this chick.
And show a growth in his base of support. This is a key test for black voters who are going to be incredibly crucial to whoever secures the nomination.
All right, Caitlin Huey Burrs, Leslie Sanchez, Linda Tran, thank you all so much. Still to come, Caitlin will look at the political weight a last-minute endorsement from South Carolina Representative Jim Clyburn is having on Joe Biden's campaign. You're streaming Red and Blue live from the Carolina Ale House in Charleston, South Carolina.
2 days' time, we have a chance to continue what we started tonight in South Carolina, and that is the beginning of the end of the Clinton-Gore era in Washington, D.C.
So anyway. See what the Turks are saying.
She's leaned into just bland feminism without teeth. I can say this because I'm a woman, right? So, but seriously, I don't think it's like boring elitist feminism when she's actually a progressive at heart, and that doesn't mean.
So anyway, this is probably the shortest stream we'll do. Joe Biden has officially won, according to two spots already. Two publications have already called it for Joe Biden. Politico. Is it fair to have called it already? Is it fair to have called it with this kind of spread that they're seeing? Politico is seeing with about 2,000 votes in. It looks like, and now it just shifted because now Pete Buttigieg is in fourth, Warren fifth. So is it fair to have called it this early in the game without the percentages, with not even 1% of the precincts reporting? Not even 1%, 0.5%. They called it Joe Biden leading by 25% of the vote with 0.5% of the vote in. I don't know if that's fair or not. Yeah, it probably is rigged. I get the sense that the numbers down in the South are rigged. It seemed like Jim Clyburn kind of like got paid off to make that shit happen. I don't know. Do we have any proof of it? I don't know. This is totally fake. This is politics BS. They pay and laugh at the people. Amy, thank you. I cannot believe how many points behind was Bernie. Vinny, it's rigged. Amy, no. Amy, rigged. It is iffy, but I feel that the last debate did not help Bernie to convince voters. I don't think so. Based on the polls, I think he didn't have to. He just had to hold his ground. I mean, if you look at the polls, Bernie Sanders is blowing everybody out in Texas by 9. In North Carolina now, they're forecasting him out in front by 2. Bernie Sanders in California, 21 points. And Bernie Sanders is heading to California tonight, where he'll be in L.A. tomorrow night. Public Enemy is going to perform at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Probably about 20,000, 30,000 people screaming for Bernie going into the California primary with 415 delegates on the line. Bernie Sanders, 21-point lead, according to Trafalgar Group and CNN, both giving him 21. Berkeley's giving him 17. In Texas, which goes to, on Tuesday as well. I know we're not here to talk about Tuesday. We're here to talk about the South Carolina. But in Texas, CNN has Bernie up by 9. Univision has Bernie up by 6 in Texas. All right. Still in North Carolina, a little Biden bump there. I don't know. Does it help Biden at all? Can Joe Biden resurrect his campaign at this point? He has no money. The rumor is, or actually the fact is, that Biden hasn't spent a dime in any of the what the hell is Trump talking about? Joe Biden hasn't spent a dime in any of the Super Tuesday states. He hasn't campaigned. He hasn't been to any of the Super Tuesday states in over a month. Now, if that isn't big news, how does he expect to win? He's relying on the fake news to spin it and say, see, Joe Biden won blacks in South Carolina. That was the rig. Or is the rig in for Tuesday? Are we going to be surprised with the rigging? Where Bernie Sanders is 21 points ahead in California and he loses by 10. Is that what, is that what's going to happen? Are the machines, are the machines rigged? I don't know. So there you go, man. There it is. Projected winner. I think this is a live update on where's Politico? Politico. Where's Politico? Politico? No. I had Politico a minute ago. What happened to Politico? So, anyway, this is Politico. Sorry. Joe Biden is projected winner. Let's look at some of the other fake news.
Looking at what the margin is between Joe Biden and whoever comes in second, because obviously what we've heard from a lot of Joe Biden supporters and a lot of Democratic operatives here on the ground is that whatever that margin is, could make or break or help propel him in these Super Tuesday states, these much more competitive states. So I'm looking for that, but also looking at what Tom Steyer did here in South Carolina. How much was he able to chip away at some of Joe Biden's support here on the ground?
In our CBS News exit polling, it showed about half of voters said that Jim Clyburn's endorsement was important to them in making up their minds. How have you seen his endorsement change minds, make things happen on the ground? How critical do you think that endorsement was?
Well, if you're Joe Biden, this endorsement could not have come at a better time, especially as we were seeing much more competitive polls. Congressman Clyburn is an incredibly well-respected figure here in South Carolina. His opinion is highly regarded. And as we were heading into the primary and I was talking to undecided voters, many of them were telling me that Congressman Clyburn's endorsement of Joe Biden was a contributing factor, if not one of the main contributing factors, to whether they decided to
It sounds like this Clyburn guy, I said it a couple of days ago, that he has a lot of weight down there. It sounds like the gun to the head. Right? Like, you know, like the cracker. For lack of a better term. He's like the black cracker. Right? What's going on down there? How does he have such a powerful, why does one old black guy, you know, crusty old congressman, I mean, that is a reflection of who just, you know, who caused this election to win, if anything. It's just a bunch of crusty old, you know, crusty old blacks that don't really have a say anymore. I guess. I don't know. Or is it just straight out rigged? The blacks voted one way, they're all voting for Bernie Sanders, and they just threw it to Biden? I don't know.
I mean, one of the main things that I've heard from a lot of voters when I talk to them on the ground here.
The Sassafras website for South Carolina Secretary of State has a live returns link. They show 0% reporting. These will be the official. Okay. Yeah, okay.
I am interested to see.
Okay, we know that. I think the New York Times. New York Times has results as well. So, New York. This is ridiculous. This is bullshit. So now New York Times is reporting that Joe Biden has 69% of the has 69% of the vote. Right, and Steyer came in second, and Bernie. This is all with less than 1% reporting. That's all bullshit. It's just bullshit at this point. We're getting bullshitted. We're getting bullshitted right now.
A lot of those delegates. I think it's always felt like Joe Biden.
Let's listen to the Turks.
But Elizabeth Warren suffers from it too. People see her as kind of nagging. Like, again, and I'm sorry for always bringing this up, but it's such a stark contrast to how.
This is Emma Vigeland. I met her at. Actually, I didn't met her. I choked. I wanted to meet in Nevada.
They may find her more appealing and see Elizabeth Warren as kind of this.
She was hanging out there, and I kind of choked. I didn't approach.
It's subliminal, and it's
she was doing interviews and shit in Nevada, in the Bernie rally in Nevada. But I like her. I think she's up and coming for sure.
I know that Warren has made some horrible mistakes, but legislatively, she would be way more on the Bernie Sanders train than a lot of other candidates. And so I almost do feel for her in that sense, because I can see that vitriol and I can see how she's responding to it, and she's not responding to it well. But that is a real element and an insidious, subtle element that people need to.
It's good comments, right? I think you guys are right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop that.
Recognize.
I think that you're right. That in a bizarre way, the South Carolina people see Joe Biden as the resurrection of Obama. Right? They feel like they're living vicariously through Joe Biden, as if he's some kind of connection to the past Obama. And that, to me, that's rather ridiculous. I mean, you know, is that racism? Is it racism? Why are all the blacks voting for Biden because he was the vice president of the first black president? Think about how ridiculous that is. Rather than who's going to give them, you know, universal single payer health care? Who's going to give them stuff? Call it free stuff. Call it whatever you want. Who's going to, you know, who's going to reverse the military industrial complex? Who's going to eliminate student debt? Things like that. Who's going to raise the minimum wage to $15? Although South Carolina allegedly has a rather, you know, thriving economy. They say that a lot of manufacturing is booming down in South Carolina. I can't confirm any of that, But I did see it on fake news saying that. But it is kind of
I
disgusting.
think we're at almost 1% now, so I feel confident in everything that I say.
We'll see where everything pans out. We're going to take a quick break first right now. I believe when we come back, we're going to hear from Cenk Uygur, who's going to give us his assessment of how everything is going so far with the 1% in. I'm sure he'll have plenty to say. But we'll be right back in a few minutes. Check us out.
Yeah, man. So we'll hang in there with the Young Turks. What's these say? What's these folks say?
Pointing to South Carolina since the very beginning, said that's where it's going to happen. I need South Carolina for my campaign. Did he deliver in this state that he called his firewall?
I think he did. I mean, nobody expected he would lose. I think in the last few weeks we've been seeing Bernie Sanders close in, got as close as 5 points. That was when Jim Clyburn came to the rescue. And a name like Jim Clyburn in the state of South Carolina means a lot. The question is, does he have that same?
Why does he mean so much? Why does this Jim Clyburn guy mean so much? I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. I just don't get it.
Georgia, who I didn't mention earlier, a lot of older black voters, but still a lot of younger voters. And so the question is there a Jim Clyburn in some of those states that he needs to win that will put their name and their machine and their resources behind him? We will see.
All right, thank you so much, Yvette Simpson. And I just want to read you the tweet from Joe Biden tonight, if we can take a look at it now.
Who cares? I mean, I think that this is a devastatingly. I mean, this is a rip right here. Bernie Sanders is getting ripped. Right now, it's with a 1.5% reporting, 37 out of the 2,200 precincts. Biden is starting to rip a very, very large lead, 51% to Sanders, 18.9. So have at it, boss. Have at it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Let's watch ABC. Everybody's on a commercial. Let's listen to this guy.
As I said, it seemed like this thing shifted back again towards Joe Biden after that endorsement. A lot of folks, including in our polling, felt that he had a good debate last Tuesday night. That could have had an impact as well. Really, it all shows how much these early states can swing back and forth as voters look at what happened in the last state and maybe start.
You guys are talking about Emma. I'm telling you, she is. She's tall and beautiful and young and beautiful. And I'm telling you, man, I choked. I wanted to talk. I was like, welcome. I was like Ralph Cramden. That's unlike. It's very uncharacteristic of me because I'm a very forceful and in-your-face New Yorker. And but I was just digging on the hippy dippy vibe in the place in Nevada at the Bernie rally, and I don't think she actually wasn't doing any interviewing. She was just kind of sitting there, minding her own business. But I think Emma Vigeland, she does the Rebel Headquarters TYT channel. I follow that once in a while. She's pretty good. Sometimes she's, there's a little naivety there, but for the most part, she's pretty good. Solid report.
I'm wondering if voters there also thought that beating President Trump was the most important thing for them.
Yeah, let me show you this slide. These are what we call the electability voters, the ones that you mentioned who say that they're looking for the person who they believe can most beat President Trump. Well, Joe Biden won them here in South Carolina, and by a wide margin. Look, a lot of this is in the eye of the beholder, where you get voters who are gaming out the process in a way. They're looking at a candidate and they're thinking about whether or not that candidate might appeal to other voters, might appeal to their conception of what swing voters want. Well, there's a lot of sort of thinking ahead.
A lot of spin going on. So what do we think, man? We think this is a rig or what? I don't know. I can't tell. What the hell do I know, man? What the hell do I know, man? We're just chilling out. We're just chilling, watching these results come in. 2% of the vote. Joe Biden's got half. Half. Everybody else, this is kind of a blowout, the same blowout that Sanders dealt out in Nevada. Does it really matter? Does it really matter? I don't think it does. I don't think it's going to have any kind of effect whatsoever. I think most thinking people will know that this is rigged. That this is some sort of. I mean, Joe Biden shot all of his whole nut. He's been down in South Carolina the whole time. This is his whole thing. That South Carolina win is going to throw him into the lead in some way. So ridiculous. I mean, just look at the polls going forward. All right, Friday. Today's Saturday. On Friday, let's just cross South Carolina off the map at this point. California, Texas, North Carolina, Massachusetts, Utah. Oh, that's new. Bernie Sanders has a 9-point lead in Utah. That's good because that's coming on Saturday as well, on Tuesday as well. I don't believe that. I just don't think Biden has any other lead outside of the South Carolina, to be honest with you. He may have a strong showing. What else is what else is happening down on Super Tuesday? We'll also see Tennessee. And what else? Then March 10, we'll see Mississippi. If Biden does in fact have a commanding lead over older blacks, then we might see Mississippi flip. Remember now, South Carolina doesn't mean shit in the general election for the Democrats. South Carolina is 75% white. All right, it's 25% black. And of that 25% black, right? It's 25% black, and that's pretty much the Democratic Party is composed of, 60% of the blacks. Does it make sense? All right, so it doesn't really matter. It's not gonna. There's no way South Carolina is gonna turn blue. Just in defense of Sanders. So Bernie Sanders is still the lead. Still way out in front. So what's going on in the chat, man? Thank you, Vinny DiMartini, for moderation. Don't be a dick. What else is going on? Biden can go back to sleep now. Yeah. His bag is full of holes. Holes. The NC must be happy, and I bet you more donations and pressure will infect them to fix it. Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. The days too. No, it's too early yet. Another CNN poll like results. Think it's too early to call? I don't know. When multiple outlets start to call it. New York Times is calling it. It's a pretty commanding lead. I mean, depending on where they're counting first. 5 precincts reporting. They're probably looking at Biden heavy areas. But this is devastatingly obvious if true. If true, Biden has a quadruple the lead. 62 to the next closest 13. Sanders 12. Do what say what you will about it. Is this? Here's Cenk Uygur.
World of hurt. The only reason Bloomberg's still in it is because he's got $60 billion, and that's what's leading him to poll well in at least states. This system is unbelievably unfair to people like Klobuchar, who don't have $60 billion and are a better moderate candidate than Bloomberg is in the Democratic Party. But it is what it is. Klobuchar, Warren, Buttigieg, Steyer, they're hurt big time. This might be a 2 or maybe 3 person race going forward.
So I guess even tonight, maybe that race pans out with where they end up falling place? Because now you're looking for some kind of positioning from third down to see where you find yourself. One more question about Biden for me, Cenk. I mentioned earlier, he said, quote, the full comeback starts in South Carolina, then goes here on Tuesday, meaning he's going to carry on. It's going to be the beginning of the comeback. How do you think things like, okay, he won a state, now he's a player in the game. How will that affect all these states on Super Tuesday? Do people really see something like this happen in South Carolina and go, okay, I was kind of leaning a different direction, but Joe Biden just won South Carolina. This changes the whole game for me. I'm now on board.
Well, I never thought that made sense, but it does work that way. And it actually worked that way to Bernie Sanders' advantage in the first 3 states. So when Bernie was winning, people went from Bernie, Warren, Bernie had started to take a lead, no question about it. But then his lead was greatly amplified after he started winning. Then people started going, well, I guess I'm not voting for Warren. And I guess I'm going to vote for Bernie. And there are many other people that they were considering. People don't act in the way that we suspect based on policy all the time. A lot of folks do, but a lot of folks don't. Especially people that watch TV, they don't know policy as much. So they know name recognition. So Bernie crushed with Latino voters in Nevada. Now Biden does really, really well, it looks like, with African-American voters in South Carolina. Bernie does great with young African-American voters. But apparently, older African-American voters certainly voted more in South Carolina. And so that's why Biden with the big win. So, yeah, that definitely gives him momentum, and people will reconsider him. I mean, people are saying he's a loser, right? He came in 4th, he came in 5th, and then did not do well in Nevada either. He came in 2nd, but lost by 34. Winning a state changes that dynamic a little bit. So, but at the end of the day, Bernie versus Biden's not a bad race if you're a progressive. But good on Biden to put himself back in it.
Yeah, go ahead. You
Cenk, quickly, 2 questions. Firstly, how beneficial do you think it is for Bernie Sanders that Biden's win comes 3 days before Super Tuesday as opposed to Bernie's wins, which were able to sink in more? And secondly, who's your first round draft pick for who's going to drop out after this race?
Yeah. So those are both excellent questions. I think the advantage is to Bernie because you're right. The fact that Bernie won the first 3 states has just been lingering around for longer, and it has solidified people's way of thinking. And once you've solidified a way of thinking, it's harder to reverse it. And there's only 3 days for South Carolina to sink in for Biden. So fair or unfair, and that I think is generally unfair to Biden, that's to Bernie's advantage. The way that people's voting patterns normally behave. And then in terms of draft picks, well, I mean, I have an expert here on draft picks and gambling of all sorts and politics. You guys aren't going to believe this. But look who I found out of nowhere.
I'm riding
Thompson, everybody.
Riding the Cenk wave, everybody. That's what I'm doing. Right here in this district, yes.
Okay, so Mark, Emma's asking, who do we take as our first pick to drop out after South Carolina? Now, on the one hand, Steyer banked everything on South Carolina. He came in a distant 3rd, so he didn't have to be high on the list. On the other hand, he came in 3rd.
And he's got deep pockets. I always look for the money.
Second, by the way.
Look to see who probably would have.
We don't know he came in 3rd yet. It's still very preliminary, but as of now, he's in 3rd.
Yes, that's true, but he was polling in 3rd as well, even before we got any results in. So, look, at some point...
That's the name I gave him, Mr. Potato Head.
Klobuchar, I have to say no.
Mr. Potato Head. He's good. He's come on, man. Cenk Ugi's been doing this for 20 years, man. Listen to what he has to say.
We're going from Klobumentum to no mentum.
Oh, better.
Okay, so Klobuchar has finished like 18th too many times.
I agree with that. Klobuchar, the first one to go down.
If I'm picking now, I'd pick Klobuchar.
And with states coming up that are way more diverse than her first 2 contests where she exceeded expectations, she doesn't poll well with black voters at all or any non-white voters. I just don't see her having any lane whatsoever. And then she's going to get pressure, like line up behind Biden or Bernie's going to take this thing.
Yeah. And look, Tulsi Gabbard's still theoretically in the race, right? Okay. So after Mark takes, if I take Klobuchar first, who are you taking on the round?
What do you take? I took Klobuchar first. I said Kloby, then you said Klobumentum or whatever you said.
Okay, then I'll take Warren and Steyer on the wrap.
Okay, back to you.
I get that reference.
Well, you've left me Gabbard, and
Buttigieg is on the board.
Buttigieg feels like he's going to.
It's too ambitious.
A later drop.
I'd take Gabbard, Mark. I mean, at
Thank you.
The fourth pick, yeah.
I think Gabbard. I mean, if she cares enough, she probably,
By the way, this is a good contest, and Emma, you've asked an excellent question. So I've got Warren and Steyer. He's got Klobuchar and Gabbard. It's anybody's ball game. But to your point, the more important point, that Bernie, Biden, Bloomberg are definitely staying in. To Mark's point, Buttigieg is almost certainly staying in. He still has some hope. He has some delegates. So it looks like we've got our final four.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
well, that is interesting. Elizabeth Warren, I think that's a good assessment. I think Elizabeth Warren is just a little too stubborn. She's not even showing. She's not going to get a single delegate. She's going to have zero. And I still believe that if Elizabeth Warren drops out, Bernie Sanders gets a bump, a slight bump. I may be wrong in that because Elizabeth Warren's only been garnishing 8 or 10%, but I think that Elizabeth Warren dropping out would give Bernie Sanders a nice bump. Her supporters would come over, mostly to Sanders. Tulsi Gabbard, certainly. Tulsi Gabbard has some of the most dedicated, smart, fans out there. So I think that Tulsi Gabbard dropping out would also be a bump for Sanders.
The other rationale is if you're Tom Steyer,
Amy Klobuchar, who cares? I think her votes will probably go for Biden or Buttigieg and Bloomberg.
I mean, again, this is what you tell yourself.
Bernie Sanders versus Joe Biden head-to-head is no competition. I mean, that shit is Bernie Sanders is going to eat them alive. It's just can he get to 1991 pledged delegates, get a majority with these shit sandwiches standing in the way. That's really the issue right now. Bernie Sanders is winning, man.
But that's the only
Don't
thing he's
forget
got to hang on to. And JR, great point. Between Klobuchar and Warren, they're going to want to stay in to be the last realistic female candidate in the race. And Super Tuesday is only 3 days away. So people will really drop out after Super Tuesday. Steyer will definitely be gone by then. And then Klobuchar is not going to make it. And then at that point, then we're probably Bernie, Bloomberg, Biden. Which again is great for Bernie because they're splitting up the so-called moderate vote.
So really fast, last real quick question because I just saw this. The former Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, powerhouse endorsement has been given to Joe Biden. At least I'm seeing this from 20 minutes ago. Just today he endorsed him. I'm not sure it was because of what happened in South Carolina, but I have my opinions about endorsements just like I have my opinions about polls and covering them. Does this do anything? Terry McAuliffe, if you hear the name Terry McAuliffe, does it come to mind you think, hey, actually, I think Joe Biden is actually someone I need to be looking second at?
No. Endorsements don't matter much at all, period, in politics these days. They're kind of old school. Nobody really cares too
Terry
much.
McAuliffe is a Clinton hack, by the way.
And one of the most elitist establishment political figures in the country. So, as much as it might help him with some moderates, which I doubt, it might hurt him just as much with progressives or anyone on the fence. So there's some chance it could be counterproductive, but overall, I would say it has zero effect.
You got to at least get your name in there. Thank you again, Cenk Uygur. And also special guest Mark Thompson to come and give us the numbers to make sure we know exactly what's happening. We'll see if any money exchanges hands tonight between the two of you through any kind of bets on anyone that's dropping out.
So I just wanted to look at some Politico. As of 7:42 p.m., updated 3.45% of the precincts reporting 78 out of 2,200. Joe Biden 4,812's got a triple lead. Sanders in second, respectable, 18.3%. Joe Biden 51.2%. Yeah, I think it's fair. It's fair at this point to have called it. Young Turks are off. Let's see what else. Oh my
even though percentage-wise it might not look that great, the numbers right now say that 345.
So they're saying Joe Biden is expected to speak soon.
That just means that 345 people.
It looks like CNN. They got CNN fake news. I don't have CNN on here because I think they're charging.
What did you win? I know.
See if I can get CNN.
Have you like actually thought about that? Only kind of.
CNN
and then
Live.
I'm like, no, not right now.
They say you go. Oh no, you have to pay. Yeah, you have to pay. No. Oh,
It's
you want
10:30.
CNN?
Party's wrapped up. It appears the election is pretty much decided. At 50% of the precincts counted, I'm up 71-29, I think. I was happy that
I don't know where my audio is
Tiffany entered the race. It's always good to see young people involved in city government, and I hope she doesn't let it drop now.
By Brooke, and Brooke.
And people had to go home. Still at 92%.
Oh, this is where we're getting it from. Let's watch over here.
At this point, Steyer planning on competing in Super Tuesday states, catching a flight tonight, Elaine.
Well, both of you have some interesting reporting on Senator Elizabeth Warren. Let's listen to one of her supporters there in Columbia.
Let's go.
She worked with President Obama. She took on Wall Street, and she was successful, and she's a female.
So, Nicole, what are Senator Warren's supporters telling you?
Good reporting, guys.
Well, I spoke to one voter today at a poll station in Charleston, South Carolina, and she told me that she supported Elizabeth Warren because she followed her heart. She said she's not sure if Warren will be the eventual nominee, but she felt she was the most intelligent candidate in this crowded field of Democrats, Elaine. And moving forward, Senator Elizabeth Warren looking to win big in Super Tuesday, perhaps win her own state of Massachusetts, which of course we know Senator Bernie Sanders held a rally there today and attracted 13,000 people there. So she has some stiff competition between now and Super supporters here on the ground that ended up casting a ballot for her tell me that they did that because they love her as a candidate. They love her policy platforms. They love her clear and coherent vision for the country, despite her inability to win in a caucus or primary thus far.
Well, Lecrae, you also spoke with some Warren supporters. What did they tell you about her electability?
I did, and as a matter of fact, the thought that...
Just for the record, just with South Carolina, we're watching, what are we watching? We're watching CBS is also calling it with 4%. So they're at this point, all of the news, all of mainstream media is calling it for Biden.
To vote for a woman, and he said because the electorate needs to change. We need to see more women make up this electorate. And he said that he has a strong grandmother, and he cited that as being a reason that he knows the importance of putting a woman in positions of leadership. And so he said that his hope is that by him casting that ballot, other people will see that she does have support here in the state, even if that does not relate or end up being the nomination for her or even a win here. And something else to note,
it's interesting too. I'm looking at some of the comments. What is the attraction of Joe Biden to the South Carolina, the people down there? Sleepy Joe, he has no message. He has no policy for the people. It's just status quo. Why would people? What is attractive about a Joe Biden? There's really nothing. If you like Joe Biden, why don't you just vote for Trump? Because you're getting the same policy, right? Trump is actually better at the neoliberal, give all the tax breaks to the corporations and things like that. Why don't you just vote for Trump? What is the attraction to a Joe Biden? I think that when you say what's the attraction to Bernie Sanders, the idiots, the people with their heads up their asses would say, well, that's communism and socialism, but really, it's policy. Don't you get it? It's policy. Bernie Sanders stands for the policies that people want. the vast majority of the people are looking at policy. They're not looking at the fact that he's 79 and he's old and who cares? Who gives a flying rat's ass what he looks like or what he sounds like at this point, right? Though he is inspirational, but he's talking about policy, and that's why he's winning. So you ask yourself, how the hell is Joe Biden pull out a win in South Carolina? It's either one or the other. It's either it's a fix or people are just that stupid. It's just that fucking dumb, right, that would vote for that shit.
I mean, we're up. We have skyrocketed to 3.67% of the vote, at least as of the Huffington Post's reckoning. So we're going to be going to that percentage. What's exciting about these sorts of nights is sometimes 1% of the vote can come in and it can change everything. But then sometimes this percent comes in and doesn't. So Joe Biden right now is at 50.7. Crucially, has moved past 50%. Bernie Sanders still sitting at 17.5. Drops down to 11.6 for Tom Steyer, more to Pete Buttigieg. And Elizabeth Warren is now out of the fives. She's at 6.4% of the vote.
And we're looking at this 20 delegates right now for Joe and 6 for Biden.
And I think all told, I think they're slightly more than 50, which will be divvied up. They're fairly confident about that percentage.
Well, we'll see where that continues to go on. And honestly, it's weird. This is just probably me personally. I'd almost forgotten about Pete Buttigieg already, just from this. It wasn't because of any kind of performance-based.
I think they're Young Turks are looking at Politico as well. So we've got the numbers that they're looking at. Same numbers.
At some point, can I add in one other perspective? Yeah. I mean, I know we have 4 here, and we had Cenk and Mark, but just really fast. The president has weighed in, tweeting, "Sleepy Joe Biden's victory in the South Carolina Democrat primary should be the end of mini Mike Bloomberg's joke of a campaign. After the worst debate performance in the history of presidential debates, mini Mike now has Biden split up his very few voters, taking many away." Now that is an insult to everyone's intelligence, and also
correct.
Kind of correct. I mean, look, the funny thing is, it's not even in Trump's best interest necessarily for them to follow that advice, but I don't disagree with it. And look, and this isn't very often goalposts shift as soon as you see the results, but to be fair, we talked this week about, from Mike Bloomberg's point of view, there is no good outcome in South Carolina. If Bernie wins, we're probably done. That's terrible for Bloomberg. And if Biden wins, then what's the point of Bloomberg at that point if Biden's back in this? And it does look like, especially if Bloomberg is going to be running in Super Tuesday, what could be a pretty important day for Biden is going to be severely hamstrung by Bloomberg taking away a bunch of the vote that he could be getting, especially in big states. Like in Texas, he definitely needs that vote.
I agree with that. I agree with that assessment. I just want to look at this for 1 second. If the race comes down to Biden, Bernie Sanders blowing everybody out, and Mike Bloomberg spending $1 billion just to stay alive, just to stay viable, without putting his boots on the ground, I think that what happens is you have Joe Biden and Mike Bloomberg splitting the moderate vote, right? Which means that Bernie Sanders, you got to add those two together, Bernie Sanders wins. He wins that fight. So, and Biden is broke. Biden is broke. If Biden is going to get blown out in Super Tuesday, he can't go to billionaires. If you're in fourth place and you have a pocket full of delegates that don't mean anything, you won in the deep South where Democrats don't win anyway, you can't go to a billionaire and say, "Let me have give me give me a couple of $1 million and I'll stay alive, and then when I get in, I'll give you a favor." They're not going to give him anything. They're lucky. Even Joe Biden is, even though he's the former vice president of the country, the billionaires won't even answer the phone. They're not going to even. They're going to be like, "This guy's a shit sandwich. He can't win, right? Can't win." So, will Buttigieg drop out? He's not going to get any delegates tonight. Elizabeth Warren's not going to get a single delegate tonight. They need 15%. Bernie Sanders at 14.5. He may get he's gonna. I believe Bernie will probably push over a little bit. But Amy Klobuchar, right? Will Pete Buttigieg drop out? Not tonight, certainly, but will he drop out after Super Tuesday, or is he just gonna hang in there and rot? And what about Tulsi Gabbard? What other names here? What about Tulsi Gabbard? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 contestants. Bloomberg isn't on the board because he's not on the ballot tonight. So again, Tulsi Gabbard, if Tulsi drops out after Super Tuesday, that goes firmly all of her support, right? And it could be more support because they just don't like Tulsi Gabbard. If anybody's getting cheated, Tulsi Gabbard is definitely getting cheated. So her support would clearly fall on Bernie Sanders. Amy Klobuchar would probably, I don't know, Bernie might pick up a few of those, but for the most part, they would probably fall under the category of a moderate, Joe Biden or Pete Buttigieg. Bloomberg, I highly doubt that. And Elizabeth Warren would give Bernie Sanders a significant bump. Those 5%, 6%, it matters. It matters, right? If she's getting 6% of the vote, at least 4 of them are going to go. At least 4 of those percents are going to go over to Bernie. So these folks need to drop out. I don't see how anybody beats Sanders at this point, be honest with you. Right? And that's not just jaded. I don't see how a moderate Democrat can put together a coalition like Bernie Sanders and win. I just don't see it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Also, I did want to read, we had someone tweeted in about a tweet about a Bernie Sanders supporter in South Carolina. I want to read that tweet, and you guys and everyone at home, see if you notice the little Easter egg in this tweet. So Barbara Sprunt tweeted, Dale McCants, a big Sanders supporter, says he thinks the South Carolina primaries make or break for Joe Biden, and he needs to be broke. If a Sanders win is top of mind for supporters here in Virginia Beach, number 2 is the hope that Biden.
So in the comments, for people asking, how can they call an election with 4% of the vote in? It's not uncommon. It's overwhelming when the results start to pile in. And they're doing exit polling. They know they got their feet on the ground. If all of the major news organizations that do this all the time call it at the same time, they can do it relatively quick. They did it in Nevada with Bernie Sanders. There was very, very few votes in, and they called it right away for Sanders.
Place her in that positioning. There was something that stuck out to me because from when Cenk was on, he talked about how the momentum will push. There was outside of that, more than half of voters just in this particular state want a candidate.
And that's not to say that it's true. That's not to say that it's an actual real election. These are that we're seeing real numbers, because maybe we're not. I don't know. This could be just a big shit show for all we know. Right? Where's the exit polls? Why don't you show us the exit polls?
And I feel like those two thought processes don't really match up. What does that mean? It's such an arbitrary.
Let's listen to some fake news and see what they're saying. Here we go.
What do I want to do? My wife was at the meat factory.
In this community where immigrants drive the economy, Postville's Republican mayor says he doesn't agree with Trump that the country is full.
What a yawn, right?
Accepted immigrants. There's room for everybody.
It's exhausting watching Biden. There's no excitement. There's no excitement, man, in any of this, right? This is what you would get if you get Biden. Biden wins, and they push Biden over the finish line, and Trump annihilates him, destroys him, tears his ass. It's just sad, right? Now you think about it, Bernie Sanders, excitement. He's going to be at the Los Angeles Convention Center tomorrow, in front of 30,000 screaming people, Public Enemy, fucking rocking the house, right? Excitement. What's her name? Sarah Silverman's going to be there. All the celebrities are going to be there. A celebrity fest for Bernie Sanders. What the fuck is Joe Biden doing? He's not even in. He hasn't been to California since Obama. There's no excitement. Right? It's just trash. But we have to talk about it, right? We have to acknowledge the fact that Joe Biden is winning something, right? He's winning something. I don't like this guy right here, man. I don't like him. I like his look. I think he's wacky looking, but I just don't like what he has to say. Sorry, guy. Let the chick talk. Let Emma talk, because we like Emma. Oh, we like Emma. Let's hear from him.
It's marketing. That's how Trump is
Yeah,
president. That's how Trump's president. He's the master marketer of himself as a competent human.
So we'll see where this goes, and then the viability of whoever comes out forward. But actually, we're taking off in one more minute. We're going to be back for the top of the next hour for our members only. Just to give you guys an indication again, we'll also.
To J.J. Wolf, Hillary got 47% in South Carolina in 2016. This is true, right? Which would also point to a rig because, again, Bernie Sanders, he didn't compete. He didn't compete in South Carolina because nobody knew him. But now everybody knows him and he's still putting up the same numbers. It is very suspicious. South Carolina, this goes down as deeply suspicious. I don't think Sanders will challenge it. As to not, I guess, piss off the blacks. So, for some reason, the New York Times only has 2% in, and Politico has 6% in. Bernie Sanders still in second place, over 15%, which means he's viable. He'll pick up a couple of delegates. Tom Steyer will get shut out. Buttigieg in fourth will get shut out. Warren in fifth will get shut out, 8%. Again, you need 15% to be viable. Yeah, Klobuchar is not even showing. Let's see. Klobuchar 3%, Tulsi 1.2%. All right, so there you have it. There you have it. Politico seems to be the most informed. I don't know what else to say about this stuff. It's just dry. It's just a dry show, dry program right now. It's a dry program because we're talking about a fucking guy that can't keep you awake. Joe Biden.
Electability was also a strong consideration for Biden voters. Let's bring in our team in the Palmetto State, CBSN political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns,
That's not on my end.
CBS News political analyst and Republican strategist Leslie Sanchez, CBS News political contributor and
That's
Democratic
on the TV,
strategist
the
Antoine
alarm,
Seawright, and CBS
siren.
News political contributor and Democratic strategist Linda Tran. And for our viewers at home, if you haven't figured out, we're outside. Those are sirens. So welcome all of you. Caitlin, first, let me start with you. How is the Biden team reacting to the victory?
Well, I think happy would be an understatement. This is a night that the Biden team has been preparing for the entire campaign. They suffered losses in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, but they were hoping to come to South Carolina and to be able to prove.
Also, Biden's going to come out and say, oh, well, look, we got momentum. Now we're going to beat Bernie. We're going to win. We're going to win. But don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself, Joe. Let's look at the crowd. Look, there's white people in the crowd. Where's all the blacks that voted for him? Where's all the blacks? This is look, he's got maybe on a victory party, his first win, he's got 200 people. And they look like gray hair whites. There's a couple of blacks. A couple of brothers. Right? There's a couple of blacks in the audience.
To him. I was talking to a woman here at Biden's headquarters who had voted for Biden. She never considered any other candidate, and she wanted to make sure that she could contribute to helping him boost through the rest of the primary. So the Biden campaign is very happy about these results, and they think that this gives them a leg up heading into those Super Tuesday contests.
Antoine, what does a victory in South Carolina mean for Joe Biden's campaign?
It sets the tone for this process going forward. I've been very clear, and I said this in 2017. The road to heaven and the White House runs through South Carolina. You cannot be the Democratic nominee without a...
Sanders is in, I think he's in Virginia tonight, and then he's off to California later tonight or early tomorrow morning. So you probably won't hear Sanders speak. And I guess the podium is just open for Biden at this point. That's all we're waiting on.
Several constituencies and the way Biden won, I think that will help him in terms of galvanizing and energizing those voters onto Super Tuesday and beyond. He had a very handsome victory tonight, and you can credit that to a very high-tech and high-touch campaign on the ground.
Linda, as we wait for additional numbers here, how much will the margin actually matter for Joe Biden?
Well, we've talked about before that it wouldn't have been enough.
That's an interesting frame right there. Support for Biden, black voters, 60%, age 65 plus, 58%. He's winning old blacks, moderates, more than half, electability voters. What the hell does that mean, electability voters? There's no young people. He didn't get a single person under 30 to vote for him. What a fraud.
In my opinion, for him simply to win Clyburn. And so this is a community, and these are voters who have known Joe Biden for an extraordinarily long time, and they're simply showing their love for him today.
There's one thing that we all can agree on about tonight's victory for Joe Biden. Durability is the word. He's been able to take a licking and keep on ticking through all this, from the Republicans, from the Democrats. He's been able to recenter himself, as we say in yoga, and I think that's critically important considering that we know the Republicans are going to be full.
That's a total crock of shit, man. He isn't ticking. He's failing. He's going to get his clock clocked. Right? He's going to get his head clocked on Tuesday. He's not still ticking. He's dead.
To collect more delegates, I think Super Tuesday.
Namaste. I know. Right. Anton really does do yoga every day.
This is a really important point about the delegates because unlike the first three states that we've been talking about and visiting.
Thank you, Sassafras, for those numbers. Pickens County partial reporting shows Biden by 63% with 5,767 ballots counted. Okay. Is Pickens County? I don't know South Carolina from a hole in the wall, so I'll take your word for it.
Here in South Carolina mean? Is it perhaps now looking like Biden may be a more formidable opponent?
I think it's too soon to say that. He was on life support 24 hours ago, and actually earlier in the week, had it not been for Whip Clyburn's endorsement. Let's not discount that at all. The impact and significance of rallying, a true leader in this state, and nationally to come forward and say, okay, I've made my decision, even though many people felt it wasn't a surprise, it activated a group of voters who were sitting on their hands to wait to see the direction of the country. That is pivotal. With respect to Trump, so the big high point the president's writing on is the strong economy, right? And now that we're kind of wavering, and which could just be a temporary setback in the markets, and we're very hopeful it is, that's going to change the dynamic right now. What's really fascinating is where this lands us in Super Tuesday. Do people start coalescing and say, wow, let's go back to tried and true establishment favored candidate like a...
They keep saying the same thing over and over again. Does this have any impact on Joe Biden's viability on Super Tuesday? My feel is, I don't know what your opinion is, but I think that it has no legs whatsoever, man. This is bullshit. This is a bullshit election right here.
Some of these things with historically black colleges, but if you're talking about 9%, 9 is traditionally what Republicans get. If you can just, kind of eat away at smaller percentages in competitive states and some of these rural counties, the president wants to be aggressively competitive, and he's going to stay on track.
Caitlin, let me turn to you. Antoine touched on this a moment ago, but taking a look again at how Joe Biden won. So he won a majority of black voters, voters over 65, and moderates. How critical are those constituencies going to be in these upcoming states? Is this something that's maybe specific to South Carolina?
No, this is a critical constituency across the next round of states on Super Tuesday and beyond. Democrats always say that you cannot secure the nomination without the support among black voters. Well, Joe Biden was able to demonstrate that tonight, and that's why his campaign feels like this gives him a boost heading into Super Tuesday. Think about some of the states that we're going to be talking about in a couple of days on Super Tuesday. California, Texas, big, diverse states where you need a broad coalition of support, but also states like...
Hey, Sassafras, do me a favor. Drop that link. Drop the link that you're talking about for the South Carolina website, South Carolina Secretary of State website, live results page. Let's see if I can find it. I just tried to find it. I couldn't find it. Let me try one more time. If you got the link, drop the link in there. So I can just click on the link. Let's see. It's not giving it to me. I don't know where the hell I am. Learn more. Where am I? Homes. South Carolina. Where's the fucking results, man? Give me a link. Give me a link if it's good. Whatever. Still waiting for Joe Biden to speak. There's Bernie Sanders today. Look at the crowd roaring.
Some of you may have noticed
It's down in Virginia.
the corporate establishment and the we beat Trump.
Bernie's doing 5 rallies a day right now. Shit is dope, man. Shit is crazy, man. It's crazy. Give me Emma. Where's Emma? Emma. TYT, Emma. That's Joe.
And I think that's important. I hang out with all the uppity mucks, but I really spend a lot of time gathering people's feelings, knowing what they say. When I up in the State House, up in the United States Capitol, the most meaningful article ever written about me, I think.
People trying to figure out how many delegates in South Carolina. It's right here, if you're interested. According to Ballotpedia, South Carolina has 54 cumulative pledged delegates tally. I don't know what that means, but it's basically 54. Oh, yeah, this is the cumulative tally. There's 54. You dropped it 3 times? Where is it? I don't think the links are showing up. The links are not showing up in my chat. So, sassafras. But thanks anyway, man. It's all good. 54 delegates total for South Carolina. It's not a big deal. There was 41 in Iowa. New Hampshire had 24. Nevada had 36. South Carolina has 54. It has the most of all of the states so far, but look at the Bernie Sanders is already leading. He has a lead with Pete Buttigieg second in how many delegates they've actually gotten. Here's the delegate count so far. So far, Bernie Sanders has 45. Pete Buttigieg has 26. Joe Biden 15. Warren 8. Amy Klobuchar 7. So Biden will probably get a significant bump. He'll probably be tied with Buttigieg for second. And Bernie Sanders will still be in the lead after tonight in terms of superdelegates. Oh, Emma. Where's Emma? We got to wait for Emma. Emma. I should have said hello to her, right? I missed out, man. I blew my chance. I blew my chance at heaven.
Nobody needs to know the ins and outs of healthcare. They need to know how this healthcare system can be accessible and affordable for them. They need to know whether or not our energy sources will be accessible and affordable to them. When you're talking about,
I can't understand a goddamn word you guys saying.
Is it broadband you're talking about? Or who?
Can't understand them. First time primary voters.
But let us not forget that when you tally all of the support for the moderate, quote unquote, moderate candidates, that is far outstripping the support that Bernie Sanders has had. This is why we keep talking about when will the field winnow, because I think you would see a much, much different narrative, a much different outcome if there were not so many candidates vying for that lane. All that said, that main pillar of his strategy has so far not played out.
Antoine, what's next now for the Biden campaign? We're heading into Super Tuesday now. Where does he now kind of focus his attention, given what's at stake on Tuesday?
Well, I think they have to recalibrate. I think they're going to have to think about what the next level and what the next phase of their strategy means and who the targets are. Keep in mind, there's no window to really do any hardcore campaigning.
Just hours away now.
And so it's all about a really high-tech standpoint from a digital, TV, radio, texting. That's how you're going to do it. Money is going to be a big factor. I think
Still trying to find
he's
it.
going to have to really ramp up his fundraising efforts. And number three, I think they're going to have to figure out how to make this race consolidate. The more moderate candidates stay in this race as we go further into this race, I think the more it causes political harm to the VP. I think consolidation will be very important for the Biden campaign going.
Coronavirus in the Corona beer. You know, I saw a clip today that said that the methamphetamine and certain drugs were being laced with coronavirus. They were finding traces of coronavirus in the methamphetamine. Wow, you talk about weaponizing. Maybe that is what's going on. Maybe the coronavirus is weaponized, the weaponized variation of a flu. Although it doesn't seem to be as deadly as people are saying it is. If it only has a 2 to 3% kill rate, that's not uncommon for most flus. So I think a lot of it is overreaction. The market is reacting to this stuff right here. This is why the markets are tanking right now. Because of this.
Here to Super Tuesday.
This is the shit right here, right? Because if the economic scenario changes, if everything flips and favors the people, you get a market crash. You get a market correction. You know, if the markets come down 30, 40, 50%, that's what needed to happen for business to reseed itself. Reseed, and meaning, you know, not recede going away, but to place new seeds in the ground to grow. So, yeah. Clybourne, just waiting for Joe Biden. So,
Kind of
I don't know.
person
You
that
guys want me to
people do
continue
pay
the stream?
attention to.
Because
So I do
this
think
is
that
pretty much a
cycle,
wash.
endorsements matter
14% of the
even more
vote
than
is
they ever
in.
have before.
Biden is the declared winner.
And people want to hear the lyrics. There's so much noise and people want to hear
This
the
is
lyrics.
pretty
So when
much
you think
over at
about
this
what a
point.
Congressional Black Caucus member endorsement means.
We're just hanging out, chilling, watching Biden. We shouldn't even be giving him this kind of attention, I don't think.
Because African Americans, our history.
12.6% of the vote in. You see how it's consistent? It's as consistent with 2% in as it is with 12% in. It's still, you know, Biden pretty much commanding lead, 52% of the vote. Sanders 17, Tom Steyer 11. Buttigieg invalid, right? These guys are insignificant.
Political voices, but everyday voices.
Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren's not going to get a single delegate. Amy Klobuchar is not going to get a single delegate. Tulsi Gabbard,
Right. Caitlin Huey Burns,
not a
Leslie
single
Sanchez,
delegate.
Antoine C. Wright, and Linda Tran. Thank you. Let's bring in CBS News Elections and Surveys Director Anthony Salvanto at the decision desk. So, Anthony, what can you tell us about how Saturday's primary went down?
Let's see.
How you
CBS
doing,
calling.
Elaine? Well, look at this map behind me. Now, it's not a lot of the vote in, just 15% in. Every county where Joe Biden is leading is lit up in yellow, and you see a lot of yellow. That means that he's doing well. At the moment, his lead is 53-16 over Sanders. Our exit poll estimates have it a little bit tighter than that. Might not end up there, but the point is, it looks like it's shaping up to be a big win. The next thing we're going to start tallying up, Elaine, is delegates. That's what's all important out of this. Now, so far, you're going to see Joe Biden getting at least 15, 16, maybe more delegates. As this count rolls on, we're going to keep adding to his total, I suspect. We're going to see if any of these other candidates can crack that magic 15% threshold that the Democratic Party sets to award delegates. And then at the end of the night, we're going to see how much of a dent that Joe Biden is going to put into Bernie Sanders' overall delegate lead. It looks like it's going to be a big one, Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's such a key question.
All righty, folks. Since it's my birthday today, Mark Conte is my birthday, February 29th. I'm gonna kill it right here because I don't see the value in watching this. I think it's pretty much a done deal. I'm gonna go with Politico's numbers. I think that it's safe to say Joe Biden cleaned up in South Carolina. Why? Because it's mostly older blacks. Does it have any bearing on on the election going forward? Is it a scar in Bernie Sanders' in his side? Is it a thorn? Is Joe Biden now a thorn in Bernie Sanders' side? I don't think so. I think it's clear by the polling, it's clear by what we've seen so far that Sanders is going to continue to romp, and it doesn't look like anybody could really stop him in terms of winning. In terms of getting a majority of the vote, that's still on the table. We'll see after Super Tuesday. We'll start crunching the numbers and find out if he can get past 1991 in terms of the pledged delegates. If he can, then this is a done deal. So also we're looking now. Elizabeth Warren is not viable. Amy Klobuchar is not viable tonight. Pete Buttigieg is just a total shit sandwich tonight. He can't win. Pete Buttigieg can't win with young people. He can't win with minorities. Right? What's he? He can't win. All right, so he's probably done. Tom Steyer, out of nowhere because he spent millions and millions and $500 million in South Carolina, pulls 11%. So thank you for the happy birthday wishes. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. I just had a cake, blew out some candles. Yeah, man. So anyway, man, I wish we would go backwards in terms of time, man. I wish we would go backwards, right? So take you guys out. You want to hear some tunes? Those are the results right there.